All right, let's dive in. Today, we're exploring a world that's part philosophy, part fever dream. It's this bizarre, silent, underwater place, and it's filled with creatures who are all trying to figure out what it even means to be alive. Seriously, just think about that for a second. You wake up underwater, there's no air, there's crushing pressure, but you just keep existing. That's not some weird hypothetical. For the characters here, that's just Tuesday. It's their reality. And this line from a character called Laughing Jack, it just hits the nail on the head. This place completely breaks the most basic rules of biology. Life is happening where it should be totally impossible, which, is going to lead to some very, very strange questions. Okay, so before we can really get inside the heads of these creatures, we got to try to understand their home. And this is not just any ocean. It's a place that runs on its own completely bonkers set of rules. I mean, just look at how weird this gets. You have a raptor, this super instinct-driven animal, totally losing its mind because it's seeing square bubbles. A phoenix, a creature made of fire, is somehow flying or maybe swimming through all this liquid. So yeah, this world has its own logic. It's just a logic that is completely alien to us. So a lot of the characters, everyone from Biff the Yeti to this thoughtful turtle, start to wonder if maybe this place is some kind of limbo. The word for that is a liminal space. It's not quite life, not quite death. It's like a bizarre, watery waiting room between one thing and the next. And that idea really helps explain why they're all so confused. So, when you're stuck in a world that makes absolutely zero sense, what do? Well, you do what any of us would do. You start questioning reality itself. And that leads to some pretty wild theories about what's going on. This is the question, right? It's the one thing that haunts every single being in this abyss. And the answers they come up with, well, they show just how hard they're struggling to make any sense out of the nonsensical. Of course, the robot swordfish thinks it's a simulation. It's a machine, so it goes for the tech explanation. Maybe this isn't water at all. Maybe it's all just a super complex computer program, and all the weird stuff like square bubbles are just bugs in the code. Then you've got the skeleton, who goes for another classic idea. It's all just a dream. A world cooked up by the subconscious where the normal rules don't matter, which honestly would explain how a thinking skeleton and a snowman can survive at the bottom of the ocean. But then, the turtle comes along with an idea that just blows everything wide open. What if none of this is literal? What if the water is really a metaphor for feeling suffocated, and the pressure is just, the weight of expectations? Suddenly, it's not a physical place anymore. It's a symbolic one. It doesn't really matter what this place is, a simulation, a dream, a metaphor, because there is one feeling that connects every single inhabitant, and that is a deep, crushing, inescapable sense of dread. The skeleton really doesn't pull any punches here. In a world like this, where you don't have to worry about eating or sleeping or anything, what's left? Apparently, just pure, uncut suffering and a whole lot of anxious thinking. And listen to how the winter monster describes life here. An insanity-inducing manifestation of pure existential angst frozen in the depths of time. That tells us the abyss isn't just a place with angst. The abyss is angst. It's the emotion itself, given a physical form. And you start to see this pattern emerge. Almost every character goes through the exact same journey. First, they just appear there, totally confused. Then they start questioning everything. That's followed by this overwhelming horror, and finally, they just sort of give up and accept that their life is now just thinking, forever. So this crazy, impossible reality doesn't just mess with their idea of the world, it starts to mess with their idea of themselves, in a place that makes no sense. Who are you? Or what are you? You see it with the raptor. It doesn't just feel confused, it feels fundamentally broken. Like its very sense of self has been shattered into a million pieces. And the skeleton feels totally lost. It feels like its own thoughts are just a confusing maze with no exit. And then there's the iron golem. It can think, it can talk, but it feels completely lifeless and starts to wonder if it was ever really alive to begin with. And this is what's so powerful. You have a machine, the iron golem, and a plant, the treant, and they are asking the exact same questions. Am I real? Am I my own person or just a copy? It shows that this deep, existential doubt goes way beyond what you're made of. Okay, so We've got impossible physics, we've got theories about reality, a whole lot of dread, and a massive identity crisis. Where is this all going? Well, let's try and pull all these threads together for one last big idea. And then the jellyfish just drops this bombshell of a question. And this single question changes everything. What if this isn't a world outside of us at all? What if it's the world inside of us? And that's it. That's the big reveal. The abyss is the human mind when it gets lost in deep, anxious thought. It's the feeling of being completely overwhelmed, of literally being in over your head. Each one of these creatures isn't a real being. They're just a personification of a nagging question, or a deep fear, or a paradox you can't solve. They're all just echoes in the abyss of our own consciousness. And that's where we'll leave it. It's a pretty unsettling thought, but a fascinating one. If you were to look deep down into your own mind, into those moments of anxiety and doubt and confusion, what kind of strange philosophical creatures would you find swimming around in there?